Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Ghost Chills. We'll be taking you this weekend to the Hotel Cecil, famous gruesome hotel. This building was built with 700 rooms, 1927 in Los Angeles, California. So please be kind, like our page, subscribe, and you can comment down below. But before we leave you, I am going to show you 12 gruesome things that took place in this horrific hotel. Tell me what you think about it. Follow us, please, and we'll see you at the Hotel Cecil.
12 terrible and creepy things that have happened at the Cecil Hotel. Number 12. Many people have committed suicide while staying at the hotel. In November 1931, a 46-year-old man from Manhattan Beach, W.K. Norton, was reported missing, but not long after he disappeared from his home, he was found dead in a room at the Cecil. Apparently, Norton had checked into the hotel under an alias and committed suicide by ingesting capsules filled with poison. While North was the first person to kill himself while staying at the Cecil, he certainly wasn't the last, earning him a ghoulish place in the hotel's dark history. Almost a dozen people have committed suicide in the hotel, including one man who slashed his own throat with a razor, and at least 3 people who jumped out of the hotel's windows. Number 11. A suspected murderer was arrested while hiding out at the Cecil. On the afternoon of July 6, 1988, the body of 32-year-old nurse Terry Frances Craig was discovered by her brother in the Huntington Beach house the young woman had shared with her boyfriend, 28-year-old salesman Robert Sullivan. Craig had been brutally stabbed multiple times, and police began to suspect Sullivan was responsible for the murder when he failed to return home to the house he and the deceased woman had lived in together for 7 years. More than 2 months later, on September 6, 1988, Sullivan was arrested at the Cecil and charged with murdering Craig, making him yet another person who sought refuge in this notoriously dark hotel. Number 10. A man opened fire from the hotel's rooftop. 26-year-old Jeffrey Thomas Paley terrified guests at the Cecil and people passing by the hotel when he went up to the roof and fired several shots from a rifle on December 1, 1976. Thankfully, Paley failed to shoot anyone, and he was arrested by police shortly after the rampage began. After he was taken into custody, Paley told the officers he hadn't actually intended to harm anyone. According to Paley, who had spent time in a mental hospital, he purchased the gun and fired the shots to demonstrate how easy it is for someone with psychiatric issues to get their hands on a dangerous weapon and kill a large number of people. Number 9. A young woman fell from her hotel window and got tangled in telephone wires. In March 1937, 25-year-old Gracie Magro died as a result of either falling or jumping from the window of her room on the 9th floor of the Cecil. Instead of hitting the sidewalk below, the young woman landed on the wires connecting the telephone poles next to the hotel, and her body became entangled. Magro was taken to a nearby hospital, but she eventually died from her severe injuries. The police were unable to determine if the young woman's death was an accident or a suicide, and M.W. Madison, the sailor Magro was sharing the hotel room with, couldn't explain how or why his 25-year-old companion plunged from the window. Number 8. A hotel resident known as Pigeon Goldie was raped and murdered. On June 4, 1964, retired telephone operator Goldie Osgood, known to the locals as Pigeon Goldie because she loved to feed the birds in Pershing Square, was found viciously murdered in her room at the Cecil. Osgood had been strangled, stabbed, and raped, and her room had been burglarized. Soon after the retiree's brutalized corpse was discovered, officers arrested 29-year-old Jacques Bielinger, a young man who had been seen walking through Pershing Square, covered in blood, was an acquaintance of Osgood, and admitted to being near the hotel at the time of the murder. While he seemed like an excellent suspect for the killing, he was cleared of the crime and released. Sadly, the person responsible for Osgood's murder has never been caught. Number 7. Elisa Lam's dead body was found in the hotel's water supply. In January 2013, Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian tourist who was staying at the Cecil Hotel, went missing. Nearly 3 weeks passed before the young woman's nude body was found floating in a water tank on the building's roof. Disturbingly, a maintenance worker discovered Lam's corpse because he was investigating complaints from guests at the hotel who had reported poor water pressure. Others stated the water had a strange smell, color, and taste. Following the recovery of the young woman's remains, the LAPD released video footage from the hotel that showed Lam behaving strangely prior to her disappearance, leading some people to believe she may have met with foul play. However, officials determined the 21-year-old died of drowning, and they think Lam, who was being treated for depression and bipolar disorder prior to her death, may have experienced mental health issues that caused her to crawl inside the tank and accidentally drown. Number 6. A woman jumped to her death and landed on the hotel's marquee. On October 23, 1954, Helen Gurney, a middle-aged woman from San Diego, committed suicide by jumping from the window of her room on the 7th floor. Instead of plummeting to the street below, Gurney's body landed on the marquee of the Cecil, and a witness to the frightening incident, 26-year-old Melvin Hinckley, was so disturbed by the woman's death that he had to be taken to a nearby hospital. Gurney, who had been staying at the hotel for a week prior to killing herself, had checked into the Cecil under another name. Following her suicide, the press publicized the unit Gurney was staying in at the time of her death, making room 704 a popular request of particularly ghoulish guests. Number 5. An Austrian serial killer stayed at the Cecil while he killed women in California. Johan Unterweger, an Austrian journalist and author who had been released from prison after murdering a teenage girl when he was a young man, stayed at the Cecil Hotel in 1991 while he was researching a story about crime in Los Angeles. Unbeknownst to authorities in Austria or the United States, following his parole from prison, Unterweger killed a number of women in Europe, and during his visit to California, he murdered 3 sex workers while he was a guest at the Cecil. Unterweger, who had once served as a shining example of the power of rehabilitation, was eventually arrested and convicted of killing several victims, including the 3 women he murdered while visiting Los Angeles. Unterweger was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, but he hanged himself in his cell the night he received his sentence. Number 4. A woman threw her newborn out the window of her hotel room. In September 1944, 19-year-old Dorothy Jean Purcell was awakened by severe stomach pains while staying at the Cecil Hotel with Ben Levine, 38. Careful not to wake Levine, who was sleeping in the bed beside her, Purcell went to the bathroom and, to her surprise, gave birth to a baby boy. The teenage mother was completely shocked, having no idea that she had been pregnant for several months. After Purcell delivered the infant, completely alone and unaided, she thought the child appeared to be stillborn, and she panicked and tossed the boy's body out of the window. The newborn landed on the roof of a neighboring building, where it was later discovered. Purcell was charged with homicide, but a jury found her not guilty by reason of insanity, and she was sent to a hospital for psychiatric treatment. Number 3. A photograph appears to show a ghostly figure outside of a hotel window. With so many people dying at the Cecil as a result of jumping or falling to their deaths, it should come as no surprise that a ghost or 2 might hang out around the hotel's windows. In January 2014, Costin Alderit, a boy from Riverside, California, captured what he believes to be an apparition haunting the outside of a 4th-floor window of the notorious hotel. According to Alderit, after taking the spooky image, he's had difficulty sleeping and suffered nightmares as a result of the disturbing photograph. Number 2. A passerby was killed by the body of a falling woman. On October 12, 1962, a 65-year-old man named George Giannini was walking past the Cecil Hotel when he was hit by the body of Pauline Otten, 27, who had jumped from the window of her 9th-floor room. Following the fight with her husband, Otten wrote a suicide note and leapt 90 feet to her death, not knowing she would also end the life of a complete stranger. The passerby, Giannini, was killed instantly, proving that even walking past the Cecil Hotel can be deadly. Number 1. The Night Stalker lived at the Cecil while he was killing his victims. Richard Ramirez, a serial killer and rapist known as the Night Stalker, terrorized Los Angeles and San Francisco from June 1984 to August 1985, murdering at least 13 victims in little over a year. A practicing sadist, Ramirez brutally killed both men and women, using a variety of weapons to take the lives of his victims, including a hammer, a tire iron, handguns, knives, and a machete. During the time Ramirez was breaking into homes in and around LA and assaulting, murdering, raping, and robbing the occupants, he was a guest at the Cecil Hotel. Ramirez stayed in a room on the top floor, and he paid just $14 a night for a place to return to after committing unspeakable acts of violence, often throwing his bloody clothing into the Cecil's dumpster. By the time he was apprehended, Ramirez had finished his stay at the famed hotel, but his connection to the Cecil still lives on.
What's up, guys? Welcome to my page. Fuck, man. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my page. Hotel Cecil. What the fuck? What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Ghost Chills. We gonna fuck, man. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Ghost Chills. The last video we did for you guys was at the fucking Tudor house. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Ghost Chills. The last video we did for you guys was the Tudor house. We're gonna be making our way to downtown Los Angeles next, where a bunch of gruesome shit. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Ghost Chills. The last video we did for you guys was the Tudor house.